What's up, YouTube fragrance fans and family? Tommy with Studio Sins here with another video review. And today we're going to be talking about perhaps the most polarizing fragrance release that has come out in the past decade from the house of Christian Dior. Immediately the name that comes to mind, along with maybe envisioning Johnny Depp and a red moon, a wolf, a car, and a shovel. Of course, I'm talking about Christian Dior's Sauvage, or as it's well known, Dior Sauvage. So when we come back, we're going to do an unboxing and I'll give you my first impression of this fifth installment or flanker of the Sauvage line of fragrances, Dior Sauvage Elixir. That and more, so stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone. We're going to be talking about Christian Dior's Sauvage Elixir. Now, Sauvage has been probably the most polarizing or galvanizing, I should say, fragrance release in the past decade. People either love it or hate it. It's been called anything from a panty dropper to a boxer dropper. So whichever side of the fence that you happen to fall on, whether you're a lover of Sauvage or whether you hate it, or whether you're somewhere in the middle, you're neutral towards it, it's hard not to be at least a little bit interested in this latest release, Elixir, for several reasons. So let's take a closer look at that presentation. Elixir is a parfum concentration. As such, it's in a 2 fluid ounce or 60 ml bottle. In typical Dior fashion, the packaging is really nice. You've got a black square with Sauvage and Dior in silver. The box itself is kind of a midnight blue, and you've got CD for Christian Dior. Inside of the box has foam padding. You've got the Dior B that indicates that this is actually bug spray. Just kidding, but you know people are going to say that. The bottle is very nice looking. It's so dark that it looks black, but it's actually that midnight blue. On the very top of the bottle, you've got CD in silver for Christian Dior. The Sauvage Elixir and Dior are also in silver on the very front, and it looks like it's on a plate, but it's actually indented, which looks really nice, kind of inset in the bottle itself. The very bottom, you've got CD for Christian Dior, and the way the light plays on that bottom is really cool too, and that's really one of the times that you can tell that it's a dark blue instead of a black. The cap itself is magnetic, and if you look deep inside, I don't know if you can see, I'll try to show you guys. I'm getting too close. You can see that also has the Dior B as well. Let's talk a little bit about Elixir's note breakdown. Dior Sauvage Elixir features top notes of grapefruit, cinnamon, nutmeg, and cardamom, with heart notes of provincial lavender and coumarin, resting on a base of woods, ambroxan, licorice, Haitian vetiver, and patchouli. While there are some familiar notes in there, it's a little bit different sounding of a Sauvage, so let's go ahead and check out that juice. Under the cap, you've got a silver pump or atomizer with a black aperture or reticule, some may call it, with the CD on the top of the pump. Whoa. Of course, the atomizer is fantastic. You can spray just a little, or you can spray a lot. It's almost like the developer of this fragrance, the perfumer, that they're all looking at the same chart Like the evolution of a fragrance is that it starts out youthful. It starts out like people in real life. So, you know, when you're younger, you go clubbing, you have a good time. Maybe you meet that girl or that person at the club and you're like, ah, cool, let's hang out. You get to be together, you're intimate, you like each other, you get to know each other. You get married, you grow older, you have children, you know, you get more mature, and you start doing something, settling down a little bit. So the same things that appeal to you at the beginning don't appeal to you later on. It's like an evolution. It's almost like what they're doing with scent. This is an extremely mature scent. Like, to me, I get it. I can smell the evolution of the fragrance. It doesn't smell at all like the eau de parfum version. The DNA is there, it's definitively there. You've got that ambroxan and woods that is the backbone, and that lavender, it's still all there. It's definitely a richer version. To me, it's also a lot cleaner. There's like a soapiness to this. I love the addition of licorice in this. Francois de Maquis is the perfumer. He said he wanted to remain true to the decisive notes of Sauvage while bringing them to an unprecedented density. Definitely a denser version of Sauvage than what you're used to. With standard Sauvage, you're used to spraying a little bit more. You probably want to dial back on the Elixir because it is rather dense, it is rather strong. Francois also said that he pared down the basic architecture of the fragrance to the bare essentials because he kind of wanted to make a new scent trail. He wanted something that would be dense, darker, and deeper. And I think he succeeded in doing that, not only in the presentation, which is the darkest Sauvage that we've seen, but also in the actual fragrance itself, the scent trail. I think this is going to leave an amazing trail. There is something about this, I know I've been using the word mature, but it does kind of remind me, it's got a little bit of a retro feel to it. I was talking with Ash of Gentsense about this the other day, and he was saying that it kind of reminded him of like an 80s powerhouse mixed with a modern fragrance, so it has that kind of modern spin. I actually happen to agree with that. Even though that's what he told me part of his opinion was about the fragrance, I wasn't even thinking about that when I smelled the fragrance. I was thinking, okay, how is this going to compare to the existential Sauvage that we all know and love? I say we all know and love, I'm being kitschy, because not everyone does. I think this in many ways is Elixir Excelsior. I think it's a lot better. Atomizer's fantastic. In the air, Elixir is amazing. It's got almost like a tree sap syrup kind of vibe going on. I feel like Elixir is going to be a banger of a winter fragrance. I feel like it's got more invested in wintertime sensibilities than it does in summertime. Having said that, again, Elixir, just like any of the Dior Sauvage fragrances, they are signature scents. In that same sense, Elixir is a signature fragrance and you can wear it whenever and however you wish. I'm just saying that this has the power to punch through clothing, to punch through layers, scarves and jackets and clothing and things like that. One of the biggest benefits of Elixir that I think it's got going for it is that it's definitely more refined than any of the other flankers. This one is definitely downtown upscale. Mr. Jefferson said it better than I can. Oh, we're moving on up. And this is definitely moving on up. It's definitely more refined. It's definitely more upscale, more uptown than any of the other Sauvage releases. As such, you can definitely wear this dressed up. You can wear this dressed up as you want to. This isn't necessarily t-shirt and sandals kind of fragrance. You know, if you're going to wear Elixir on the beach, you're probably going to get some weird looks from people. Any other scenario, pretty much, you can go for it. Especially the more refined, the more uptown, the more upscale, you're going to feel more comfortable. That no doubt is the ambroxan, the vetiver, the woods, the patchouli in the base with a little bit of that licorice and that very powerful accentuated lavender in the fragrance. I have to say, my first impression is I'm very impressed with it. This is something that's quite unique and is a little bit different than the typical Sauvage universe. It's very different. And it's funny, in the ad on Dior's website, this said, this is as different as a red moon in the sky. And I couldn't help but to think of Prada Luna Rossa Ocean, where he comes to the end of the ocean at a red moon. Could it be a little bit of competition between an ocean red moon and a desert red moon, maybe? You got Johnny Depp and Jake Gyllenhaal duking it out, each wearing the other's fragrance. Who knows? But this is definitely taking a divergent, deeper, darker, denser path than any of the Sauvage versions or flankers, and I like that in the way that I didn't like it with Prada Ocean. Don't get me wrong, Ocean's I think it's a nice solid fragrance. This one, however, I would stack up against any of the Sauvage fragrances as being equally as good in its own very individual fingerprint type specific way it's just as good. Really concentrated. I guess that's one of the reasons why it's in such a small 60 ml bottle. Of course, it adds to the mystique and the mystery. If you go to their website, it's going to be $155 for 2 fluid ounces, so that's quite expensive. No doubt they'll release it in a larger quantity or in a different quantity, different size bottle, so that you can have different sizes to choose from. But in the initial release, 2 fluid ounces, 60 ml is what we get. Having said that, let's hope they do release it in different quantities and reduce that per ounce price. It's a bit high at $155. What does that work out to be per ounce? Like $76, $77 per ounce approximately. That's a bit high at the present rate, so let's hope that they do reduce it a bit over time. So only for those that have the disposable income or that are big fans of Sauvage will probably want to own this right away and right now. There is something if you go to Dillard's or Macy's or wherever, I don't know that it's available on Christian Dior's website. You can check it out and see. But there is something called Afterpay, and Afterpay will allow you to break down your fragrance into payments. Usually it's 3 payments. You pay the first installment up front, and then 15 days later you pay the second, and the subsequent 30 days later you pay the final. A lot of places are doing that now simply because fragrances are, some of the higher end fragrances, even for designer fragrances, are a bit expensive, and that is the case definitely with Dior Sauvage Elixir. So you might want to check that out and maybe make use of that. Guys, thanks so much for stopping by and tuning in to today's unboxing and first impression of Dior Sauvage Elixir. Color me impressed. I actually like it. I actually really like it. It's got a little bit of that retro 80s vibe to it, but it's got more of an expressive, darker, denser landscape. I think it can go a lot of different directions. It's definitely got a very refined feel about it. I appreciate you taking the time to tune into today's video, and as always, thank you so much for your support on my channel. I'm Tommy with Studio Sense, and I'll see you tomorrow.